shows you how many people are watching you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if the donations thing will work correctly, but it's set up.
Thank you. Oh, welcome, my friends. How are you? Sorry I was a couple minutes late. I was trying to get this whole, page overlay thing to work. And so basically, there's a couple of things on there. You see the logo on there and the website, which has all our follow information and other goodies, and YouTube and Facebook. And yeah, so that was thanks to Brandon for fixing that up for us. I also put some info on here for you, okay? We got 6 more days on the Cthulhu Wars Kickstarter, you say. And that is CthulhuWars.com. Sorry, I had to take a second to also open the chat window because I forgot to do that. So here is the website here. I'm going to type that in for you so that way if you want to check it out, that's for the minis that we're doing today, okay? CthulhuWars.com, 6 more days. They've been doing real good on their Kickstarter, so good on them for that. And then also today, I wanted to make sure to use Stynylrez Primer today. And the reason why was because when I went to World Expo, for example, a lot of people had different questions for me on how to use Stynylrez Primer and can it be used by hand, with brushes and such. The answer is yes, and I'm going to show you that today. So I figured that I would take the time to do that. The colors that we will be using today with our minis, I'm shaking it first so you can see the color clearly, is we will be doing Ebony Flesh. We're going to use that for a brown, okay? And we're going to be doing, I love this one, I can't wait to use this for you, Stynylrez in Oceanic Blue. I think that is definitely going to be a fun one to use. I'm really looking forward to showing you that color because especially for those of you who play 40K, that's going to be a nice color to use for an army too. We're going to do Flesh. That's light flesh right there. Okay, so we're going to be, having fun with the flesh color too today. Let's see what else I got. Oh, and we have the neutral yellow primer also. So we're going to be doing neutral yellow today too. We're having fun with that. Oh, and just for funsies, I figured I'd show you this because this is awesome for a primer too. I was thinking of you guys who play 40K and other games. This is metal. So especially if, like I said, if you play Necrons and stuff like that, this would make it easy peasy for you to paint them. And also, in all honesty, now I love 40K stuff, don't get me wrong, but this is much cheaper than Lead Belcher, just so you know. And it's a primer. It doubles as a primer and a paint, so why not, right? Okay. So just so you know, they're always available on webairbrushes.com. Currently, they have a coupon code on the site, summer 2017. You get 25% off, just so you know. Or if you're going to be at GenCon 50 from the 17th to the 20th, Badger will be at booth number 573. So be sure to visit them then. And they also always have really good deals going on at conventions and stuff. Pretty much everything is at like wholesale price. So you're definitely not going to want to miss out on that. So now that we got that out of the way, let's see who we are going to have fun painting today. Yay! Okay. So first up here, I don't even remember what this is called. Let me see if I could find the picture for you of the name of this creature, because some of these have such weird names. I can't even remember half of them. I try to be good with the names of these, but it's just not happening. I thought it was like a little Wendigo, but these are called Gnopf. Gnopf. I think that's how it's said. Anyway, we're going to have fun painting that. I'm going to paint it kind of like a Wendigo, so that'll be fun. And then I have here this guy, which is a, hold on, let me try, I'm trying to look it up because, like I said, I forget these names. An elder thing. Oh, okay, well, that sounds fun. So that's an elder thing. So we're going to be having fun with him too. And then this one here, let's see what this one's called. This is going to be fun. I can't even find the picture of it. This is called a Nori? No, not this one. This is a Gug. This is a Gug. All right. Well, that's going to be fun. All right, cool. So we're going to be using some of the Stynylrez primer on these guys. Let's get out the handy dandy palette. That should be good. This is a ceramic palette that I got for really cheap one time a while back. I don't remember where I got it from anymore. But the other ones that I get, like the big ones, I get from Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. So just in case, if you're familiar with Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. And now I'm getting out some handy dandy brushes. All right. Oh, I almost forgot. I don't have paper towel. Wait, actually, no, I got some. Okay, we're good. All right, so I'm trying to think. Which one should we start off with first? You know what? I'm going to start off with this Wendigo guy because, or the Gnopf K, however you call it. And first of all, I see that with the priming, there's like some little spots here that missed, but that's not even a big deal because, again, I'm going to be using a primer on it. Right now, I'm just double checking my stuff before I get in on all this goodness. All right, so we're going to do the Oceanic Blue for the base coat. My plan is to afterward dry brush it up to white. And then I'm going to do the arms, basically a flesh color. And then I'm going to do the horns. The horns I'm probably might use the neutral yellow, or I might just go with one of like a beige color of some kind with some brown wash and just kind of keep it simple. So that's what we're going to start out with. I'm shaking well the Stynylrez, the Oceanic Blue. Let me see, did I take the, nope, I didn't take that thing off yet. There we go. I didn't have the tab thing off all the way, so that wasn't very helpful. Now I do. So the Oceanic Blue is a light blue. I'm trying to see if it needs to be diluted. Not really. No. Okay, it's good. Especially because these are plastic models. You're going to want to apply a little thicker anyway. So it's totally all good. Now, again, like I said, part of, you know, usually these, you know, the Badger primers and stuff are primarily for use with the airbrush. Hence why also they're a little thinner in consistency. But you can brush them on by hand also. And they are there in place to help save you some time, which is awesome. Especially when you're just trying to quickly paint up a model so that you can get to playing. Then stuff like this is helpful. Now, what I did here beforehand, for those of you who might be just starting to watch these with me painting the Cthulhu Wars. So these models at first were red plastic. And then what I did was I sprayed them first with Testa's Dull Coat. to get the shininess of the plastic off there. So I did that. And then I zenithal primed. The primer that I used underneath for the zenithal priming was P3 because I wanted to do it quickly. So I did it by really quick. So I did it by spray can. And the reason for the zenithal priming, I wasn't sure yet at the time what I was going to paint this. I knew I was going to paint it to kind of look like a sort of Yeti Wendigo, type deal. But I wasn't sure exactly what colors I was going to use yet. So in cases of when you're going to use like primarily washes and inks and stuff, which I absolutely love using washes and inks, then it creates, the black primer already creates a shadowed undercoat. And then the white already creates a highlighted undercoat. So it's like you can look at it as one of two ways. You can look at it as a guide, some guidelines for when you're painting. Or you can look at it as your lifesaver and save you time. It kind of does both if you think about it. So how do you like my new webcam? I am definitely liking this much better. We just got a new webcam for the stream. It is a Logitech C920. I did some research and it basically said that the Logitech C20 was one of the #1 cameras to use for streaming. And it wasn't a bad price either. I got it off of Amazon. I paid like $60 for it. The funny thing is that the lower cameras down from it, like usually in my experience, whenever I see product suggestions and stuff, usually whatever's the #1 thing is usually the most expensive thing. And then people might pick #2 and #3 because they're a lower priced option, right? Well, this camera was #1 on the list from PC Gamer magazine article. It was #1. And then the #2 camera was the most expensive and #3 was the cheapest. So it was just kind of wonky the way that was set up. But either way, paid $60 for this camera. And I feel that there is a lot of improvement here on how this went down. So this was a good purchase. Proud of myself. And there's other things I plan to do with the channel, like have background music eventually, stuff like that. Jazz up the overlay, the screen overlay more, but baby steps, right? Right now I'm just trying to get through day by day because GenCon's in a week, so everything has been absolutely crazy busy. Oh, drop my brush. It's been crazy busy throughout that entire time, so it's been nuts here. As a matter of fact, right up while Brandon was kind enough to fix up the screen and everything, up until the last possible minute when I got here with you, I was packing up an order. So as you can see here also, the Stynylrez primer Dries relatively quick, just like regular acrylic paint, because it is regular acrylic paint. And it dries to a matte finish. I'm going to try and see if I can reach in there. There we go. Oh, okay, so he supposedly has like 4 legs. Okay. The things you realize while you're double checking and looking in small spots. Now, while I chose 3 models to work on, I don't know if we're going to get through all 3 tonight. It's predicted that we're supposed to have thunderstorms all throughout the week. Don't have a thunderstorm here yet, but I've been seeing some certain close calls, such as the power flickering on and off, stuff like that. So just in case. And then also I'd like to get off from doing this early enough to play some World of Warcraft, because it's Time Walker Dungeons until midnight. Well, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to end up missing that. But hey, maybe I can get some rating done. We'll see. Now I'm double checking. Isn't this blue such a nice color? And it appears I poured out a lot more than I thought I was going to use, but that is okay because I can put some back in. And I'll show you how to do that when you run into those cases. First, you got to make sure you used all you were going to need too. All right, so when you do fur and you're painting and you're trying to make sure you get all the spots, one of the things like that I just did was I put it in front of me standing up so that I can see the spots I missed. And I missed right on top of the head. Isn't that something? So I just fixed that. you hold it at different angles just to make sure you got all the fur. Fur has a lot of crevices, especially the more coarse the hair is. Alright, so I had to hold it right side up so that way I could see and let the light hit wherever I might have missed. Alright, now, so when you sit there and you run into a situation where you used a lot more paint than you thought you were going to use, that's when you take one of your big handy dandy chibi brushes. This one I got from Hobby Lobby for like $4. And it also desperately needs to be cleaned, so I might just need to do that real quick. And what I'm going to use is the Master's Brush Cleaner and Preserver. Now in this case, since it's not a fancy brush, I don't have to, you know, be gentle. I'm just trying to get that hard craziness off. What I'm doing is I'm working the soap in. And it doesn't have to be perfect, especially not in this case, because like I said, this is just a cheapy brush that I use just to screw around with or use for certain things. And I'm also cleaning it because you can see here that there's some green. And of course, I'm not going to want that to mix into that color, especially because I plan to reuse it. So I'm going to want it to be nice and clean. And see, that already looks a lot better. It doesn't have all kinds of hard stuff in it. It just looks beat up because I beat it up. Because that's what I do to brushes. Put that back. Oh, would you be able to grab me a paper towel, if that's possible? Oh! I just hit into the thing when I moved the computer. Oh well. Extra practice! Just in case Brandon just hooked up the computer all extra so that way if there is a thunderstorm, that it won't have as much chance of affecting the stream. Oh, thank you so much. And this is just black board. It's okay that I got paint on it. I don't care. I got it from CVS for like $5. And I got it on purpose so that I can use it to have a plain background so that it wouldn't mess with the camera. And now I got the new camera, so I might be able to still use it without worry. But hey, at least now we know how to not waste as much. So that's good. Step in the right direction. Excuse me. Now with this guy, I plan to do some brown on him. And then I might do some flesh color also to highlight up to a white, you know, for like a beige color and stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm thinking about putting flesh. Oh no, maybe better yet, I'll use neutral yellow. That would probably be better. So do like brown and neutral yellow, so that way it looks more like, you know, like a I guess it's supposed to be like sort of like a bear type deal. So I don't know. We'll see if that works. But I definitely do plan to use flesh for inside there. So that way it looks all like gnarly and stuff. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. So I'm going to shake well on this first. This is ebony flesh. But it also makes a good brown. Oh, much better now that I have extra paper towels. I almost feel like every time I do a stream, something ends up getting screwed up. In this case, I just spilled paint. So from now on, maybe we should consider it that if something doesn't get messed up, then it's not officially a Lynn stream, you know? Maybe we should just go with that custom from now on. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to put the yellow. I might just wing it and just kind of like do all brown first. Or maybe it can even dry brush up to the neutral yellow. That might be something too. I can definitely maybe do the neutral yellow on the belly. I think I'll definitely do that. So I think I'm definitely going to make that an option. And this is some exposed plastic here. So as you can see, it's red plastic originally that's underneath. And mind you also, when you do priming, the purpose of the primer is so that the paint can adhere better on the miniature. It also protects. But it doesn't, what I noticed that some people will do is that they will make sure that everything is so covered as if in a shell or something. And it's not always completely necessary. So if you miss some certain spots, no biggie. But especially here in this case, when you're doing the Stynylrez primer, it's already primer anyway, so it's like, what's the big deal? But in other words, what I'm saying is don't worry about putting it on so covered, because then there's also that chance that you could end up putting too much too. You want it to be covered well enough so that way you could, you know, so that the paint could adhere better, obviously. But you don't want to put it so much that it candy coats the entire figure, and then you possibly put too much and lose detail and stuff like that. So obviously that's not what we're looking to do. The brush that I'm using here is a Gnopf base coat brush. And you can get them from the Gnopf store. And they also have a miniature painting forum that's really, really good. And if you're on, don't be shy. Don't be afraid to say hi. Because it says 2 people are watching. I know one of them is Brandon, because Brandon fixed stuff up on this and he wants to make sure it works right. So he's like our tech support when he's home. And this channel is still very, very new. Twitch. This is me giving Twitch another chance, basically, because the first time I used Twitch, it didn't go well a while back when I sat there and tried to start a channel. At the time, it wasn't very, I guess, user-friendly for creative, but now it looks like they've come a long way, which is really cool. Just want to make, I hit it on the table. I just want to make sure I didn't take any paint off. I'm double checking myself and making sure that I covered everything. Missed a spot in the hand. Let me try and share this real quick. Alright, that, Facebook. Yes. And one more. Because it's fun. Page. No. That one. Bam. There we go. I know Monday's a slow day, it's a slow night usually for this too, because the week just started, everybody's getting ready for school, kids start school soon. Let's try and see if we can get some more party people on here. Just in case, if you're watching, there is a share button on the corner. Should be on the bottom right side. Feel free to use it. Tell all your friends about the crazy shenanigans that we get into with painting. And as I learn more how to use this, I'm sure there'll be a lot more that'll go on. So it's a learning experience for sure. And right now what I'm doing is I'm double checking all the spots, making sure I got everything. Yeah, I definitely want to check the underside parts too. Now these aren't the kind of models where, like for those who might play like War Machine or Infinity and 40K and stuff and like might paint certain pieces first and then put it together. It's not like that with these models. These models are one piece. They're already all together and they're already on a base. Now this is not, of course, this is not to say that you can't customize it and make it your own. You absolutely can. I'm just saying that these already come as one piece, so it's basically you have to like especially if you're painting them like I am, you got to look, you got to make sure you're getting everything. You're going underneath, you're going inside, stuff like that. Otherwise, you can end up missing a spot, which obviously you don't want to do. It looks like I got everything. All right, so he's all brown. Sweet. All right. I'll lay him here for you so you can look at him a little bit from against that. I'm going to grab the flesh color. I'm pretty sure these are all teeth, so I'll be sure to paint them as such. Looks like there's a little piece of plastic there we go. I got that off. I'm going to take off the little plastic. Now that we got the camera in focus, at some point I might even sit there and test it out with the cutting mat that I use and see if it'll affect anything, because if it doesn't try and chase for a focus anymore, then it might be all good in the hood to just leave it be. This is the Stynylrez Primer in light flesh. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking and making sure I get everything correctly. 9. I think that's going to require possibly a second coat. See, that's another cool thing about the Stynylrez primer. If you saw my previous streams, you know that I was doing the standard 3 to 5 coats that you do with paint. And with the Stynylrez, bam, 1 coat and we're good. See, like that is a really good first coat. But I am going to let it dry and I am going to go over that part one more time. Just because I want to make sure that's right. So I will be doing that. But we're going to put him aside for a minute, because I also want to put flesh color on this one here. Now what I'm trying to think is, do I want to do... I was thinking about possibly doing this all in flesh color and then doing different washes over it and then doing the tips a dark blue or some other weird color. I don't know. Let's do it. The golden D6. Hey, you! How you been? It's Adam Sprugray of the golden D6. How you doing, my bro? So I think I'm just going to go over this whole thing with the flesh. I'm just going to wing it. Just going to wing it. Because to be completely honest with you, didn't even fully decide what color I was going to do this. At first I sat there and I thought about doing it in reds and flesh. And actually I might still kind of do that and do the flesh and then maybe do some reds and purples. That'll probably look really cool. Reds and blues maybe even. I haven't decided yet. But I think I'm just going to go over it in flesh and I'm just going to wing it. And just, it is what it is, right? Because we're here to have fun. That's the name of the game. And I'm applying it on thick here. I didn't dilute it because it is also automatically mixed for the airbrush. It's supposed to be that you put it in the airbrush and you go. Now, this is not to say that, you know, not to thin it. You can if you want to. It's a personal preference thing. It truly is. But given the fact that these are plastic models, I am not diluting them initially, you know, diluting the Stynylrez initially on these because then it's just going to take longer. The paint will just slosh around for a longer period of time and I'll be fighting with it to work. And I'm not about that life. The name of the game here is painting quickly and easily so that you can get to playing your models. Then you just take whatever wisdom Yeji shows you and Michelle shows you, and you just go out in the world and paint your Cthulhu Wars so that you can get to playing. And I know initially I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's all flesh and it's looking really weird. But you know what? I think that eventually we're going to make this work somehow and it's going to look really sick. Because you would be surprised, in all seriousness, of what kind of stuff you can pull off from a flesh-colored base coat. The Hov. Hey, you! How are you? I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Now, these models are also great in general for, you know, not just for Cthulhu Wars, but like you can take these same models and they make great characters for D&D too. You know, just regular, well, whatever edition you like playing, but there's just so many different games that I can think of that you can use these for. Wait a minute, is this for eyes there? Oh yeah, that would be for eyes, wouldn't it? Oh, that's gonna be fun. We're gonna make eyes with that. Oh man. That's gonna be the cat's jammy jams. And I should have ate dinner before I streamed because my stomach is growling at me. But it's okay. I am going to survive this. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this. Just a touch. There we go. That's better. Some parts of the flesh primer was a little too thick, I guess, from, you know, sitting and the way the amount I put in. So that's why I put a little bit of water, but I'm probably going to add more at some point anyway, too, because this is a big figure. Could put a 32 millimeter guy next to just for here. Hey, you know what? I'll put Finn from Wander. Finn, would you like to make a special appearance? There's Finn. He's 28 mil. Next to this guy. He's pretty big. at some point, I swear we're going to be painting him because he's going to be so fun to paint. And that's another game that's coming out on Kickstarter also is Wanda. That's going to be so cool. And then if you get any paint in the eyes, no biggie, because you can always go back in with the white and fix it. So no biggie right there. This figure, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this might be one of those figures that'll take more than one session, because this one I'm going to want to do it at least some, like, it'll still be painted quickly, but I'm still going to want to do give it some kind of justice. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just, slap paint on it and call it good. Like, this guy's got eyes and cool wings and stuff like that, so I'm going to want it to look, pretty cool. But at least, we'll get to base coat it together. Do you think the flesh tone on the tentacles eyes is a little, how should I put this, fantastic? Probably just a touch, but I mean, look how screwed up looking these models are to begin with, right? I mean, it's like, but even so, oh my god, I'm gonna have to borrow that word off you at some point. Even though I did put a flesh base coat, you'd be surprised that after using certain washes and shades and different stuff, it might look flesh right now at first, but then after you put work into it with other colors, it'll end up possibly not even looking flesh colored anymore. The flesh would possibly just serve as like a neutral colored base, if you will. Like, there's a gentleman, he has a YouTube channel, and he's French, really real sweetheart of a guy. His name is Mohammed Atmendi. I think that's how you say his name. If I said his last name wrong, I feel really bad. But he does some painting on a YouTube channel, and he did a monster that was similar from his line of miniatures. And his line of miniatures, I believe, is called Happy Games Factory, if you just want to look it up. But he had a monster that also had tentacles, and he started it off with a flesh-colored base, and then he worked other colors into it, and by the time all was said and done, you would have never thought that he used flesh as a base. So you'd really be surprised. And it's not even just with flesh color. It applies to other colors too. There are other colors that you could start out with as a base. And then by the time all is said and done, and you added glazes and shades and washes and this and that, it ends up not even looking like the color that was originally used. And yet, the base color that was used still served a purpose. Very highly detailed these models are too. Especially considering the, for plastic models and stuff, because there's some companies that do plastic models. And they're nice, don't get me wrong, but some of them don't tend to have like, such a extraordinary amount of detail. And this one's probably going to have to take a couple of coats, which is fine. It is what it is. Man, I can't wait until some of the other people see that now that we have this new webcam, how much better everything looks. Oh, you guys should have seen last week. I sit there and I did a stream, and it looked like I was painting blobs, fuzzy blobs with bright colors. I painted some goo. They're in the other room, but if you look on the Facebook page or the Instagram and stuff, if look and or on the website, they're up on the website too, a couple of them. Then you sit there and you see, I use like all these bright colors, but the other camera that I had, kept being so out of focus that it looked like I was just painting fuzz. It was ridiculous. And you gotta understand, I'm not really all that tech savvy. Like, in all seriousness, if it wasn't for Brandon being like, oh, I'll put this together, we'll get this done, and whatever. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't even be sitting here with you today doing this, because I'm just honest. I mean, I try to figure it out. Don't get me wrong. I try to make an effort, but one, I truthfully do not have the time. And when it comes to electronics and stuff, in all seriousness, I don't really have the patience either. But yeah, the camera kept going out of focus. I kept trying to get it back in focus, and you get like a glimpse, a glimmer of hope for like 1 second here and 1 second there, and then there we were back to square one, back to bright colored fuzz. Let's see, what do we say here? The Hoff says, any plans to do the new Star Trek minis from Modifius? I hope I said that name right. I'm sorry if I didn't, because I'd love to see those. I mean, I don't have the money to commission them, but still. Okay. Star Trek. I'll have to look into those minis. I have to be honest with you. I'm not. I don't think I've seen those, or maybe I might have seen them in passing through a post or something. But I'll have to check that out. I love Star Trek, so no harm in checking that out. Faux cheesy. Now I'm trying to look here, and it looks like there's eyes on the knee too. Is there eyes on the knee? No, there isn't. Okay, that kind of scared me for a bit, because I was just like, man. It's like, I don't know how I feel about doing eyes on a knee. And by the way, I seen pictures of the kids, Harva, and the kids look great. Getting so big. Are they ready for school? Don't school start in a few days? I know some schools, they're starting on the 15th. And then there are some starting the 20, I don't know, 20 something of August. I guess I guess you could say like the next week. Over by my restaurant, SMU, we're next to SMU, so SMU, the students have been going through orientation, and also the football team has been having their practices and stuff. In my restaurant, we had to sit there and make for the SMU football team 130 pizzas. They sat there and did a pizza. They wanted it done so that there was a pizza for for each player and for each coach. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's like just such an obscene amount of food to eat, you know? But yeah, 130 pizzas. Everybody got a pizza of their own. I said, geez, a piece. They were all medium pizzas, too. And just about all of them had pepperoni, if I'm not mistaken. Me, I'm tired of pepperoni. I can't even stand to eat pepperoni anymore. Let's see, what do they say here? They're so sweet, too. Well, I bet they're sweet. You guys yourselves are so sweet. Those kids, I bet, are so sweet. And Daphne goes back to school on the 21st. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, geez, goes by fast. It almost seems like they go back and it's like they get out earlier and earlier, and then they start. I mean, I know it's still like 2.5, 3 months or whatever when all is said and done, but it seems they go back earlier and earlier too. Like August 21st, man. In New York, kids usually they don't start back at school until September. I never discovered really that schools ended in May and such until I moved out of New York. I lived in Maryland when I was a kid. I lived in Maryland for a year, and when I was at school in middle school there, they had school until May, and that was just so foreign to me at the time. It was just like, we get out of school in May? Why so early? What's going on? And then when I lived in Atlanta for a time, those kids get out of school in May also. But in New York, they don't get out of school until like the end of not July, I'm sorry, the end of June. And then they go back in September. Oh, thank you so much for hosting, Adam. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. I just learned how to do that whole hosting thing on Twitch too. And I sat there and I hosted Captain Chaos, and I hosted Keyline Prime. They're painters also. I really enjoyed their streams. And Keyline Prime, it was his birthday today. So of course for his birthday, you gotta stream, you gotta sit there and host the guy, right? It's the least you can do. I don't know him well enough to buy him a gift, so I figured hosting would be something. I was born in New York in May, and the day after I was born, there was a blizzard. They have a different idea of when summer starts. Yeah, no kidding on that. Yeah, the snow has happened at some very weird times. The other thing that's hysterical too is since I moved here to Texas, in New Mexico too. Because I lived in New Mexico for a few years. Oh, Maron, whenever it snowed, the entire place would just shut down. I remember when I was in New Mexico and I was studying for one of my college degrees, I was working on a term paper, and I was in the library, and it was about, I'd say about 7:30 at night, and the library, meanwhile, was supposed to close at 9. And at 7:30, one of the people, the librarian rather, comes to me and says to me, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have to log off the computer and this and that and finish because we're gonna close." And I thought maybe there was a fire or some kind of an emergency or something. I said, "Is everything all right? What's going on?" And the girl sat there and she pointed as if it was, a state of an emergency. And she's like, "It's snowing outside." And I sat there and I looked, and all it was, I kid you not, it was just flurries. That's all it was. And I sat there and I said, "You're seriously going to close because of that? Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "Oh, it's not safe. It's not safe." And sure enough, between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, there's only like 3 plows. So whenever it snows anyway, it's like, yeah, okay, good luck, But I just sat there and I was like, where I'm from, there could be a foot of snow on the ground and your ass still going to school, okay? They were just like, oh, there's 14 inches on the ground. I don't care. Get your butt on the bus. Bye, So it was really funny to me. And also here, okay, so since I moved to Texas too, it's like that. Anytime when it snows, oh, forget it. Everything shuts down. Everything's done. Forget it. And to be honest with you, when you're in Texas and it's snowing, I mean, I love living in Texas. Don't you get me wrong, but when it's snowing, I ain't beat. I'm not going out. I will not drive because let me tell you something. Even when it rains, people on the road, they start doing some real screwy stuff. I am not about that life. They're like, oh, yeah, you're from New York. Why don't you go over here? Nope, that's okay. I'm good. I'm going to pretend to be a recluse for a bit. But there's no water in the house. It's fine. We have a sink. We'll make it work. I ain't trying to go out on the road. No, thank you. I'm good. Like, shoot. Flurry here is a full-on apocalyptic event. It's so true. They sit there on the news here in Texas. Oh, yeah, chance of snow flurries, this, that, this, and holy Christ, you go to the store an hour later, and there's no bread, there's no water, there's no the canned food aisle is all like friggin' like a mess. As if everybody was getting ready to go down in a bunker. It's just like crazy. You would think that like there's about to be a monsoon or something where we'll all be locked up in our house. It's hysterical. Oy. And the funny thing is too is that then Christmas comes here, and it's like Christmas or Christmas Eve, and in New York you always were bundled up. Maybe had a snowball fight outside. Well, not me, because I always get sick, so I couldn't really be outside with the other kids. But you sit there all bundled up. Here in Texas, it'd be Christmas Eve and Christmas. Everybody's all sitting there with they're in shorts and flip flops. No word of lie. Funniest thing ever. And also the other thing is too is that with the exception of a couple of times that there were some really bad ice storms here in Texas, because there were a couple of times that there were bad ice storms and the whole ordeal went on for like days, But other than that, usually when it snows or ice, it melts like hours later. It looks like nothing ever happened, We watched a news van follow a sand truck driving down the highway for a full hour. Like, jeez. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, he is salting the roads, and the salt has poured out again. Will there be enough salt for all of Texas? Stay tuned and find out. Too funny. And even in nice weather here in Texas with the driving, it ain't much better than either. The traffic here sucks. But other than that, I really do like being here. I mean, traffic sucks in New York too, but But I just feel, but when it comes to New York, everything's kind of set up like a grid, if that makes sense. And there's also easy ways to get off the roads and everything. And in Texas, some of the roads, it took me a while to get used to driving around here, in Texas in general. Because a lot of the roads, they loop around and, if you're off by one lane, you end up, off in Oshkosh somewhere or something. So it really does take a lot of getting used to. And then when I lived in Atlanta, what I had to get used to was the reversible lane system. That took me about 3 weeks to get accustomed to. And the first few days, I was very deathly afraid of driving with the reversible lane system. In Atlanta, they have I'm sure over the years they kind of changed it and tweaked it up a bit, but basically they had a reversible lane system where if it's during rush hour, like in the mornings, say Highway 78, which is where I lived off of at the time in Stone Mountain area, there was 6 lanes wide. So between the hours of like 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. or whatever, the two center lanes were the lanes that was the reversible lanes, right? So from say these are the 2 lanes, so 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. it would be like, this one is to turn to the left and, or sorry, to turn to the right, and this one would be to turn to the left. And then when it's off peak hours, it switches. And there's lights up above, for a guide, but sometimes depending, you gotta, you can't just always look up all the time. You gotta see what you got going on too. So when it's off peak, then it would switch, and this was to left, and then this was to right. It was just a whole big mess, and it took me 3 weeks to get used to that. That was awful, just plain awful. And I know that there's supposedly some other states that have reversible lane systems too. But yeah, that was with Atlanta. That was the part that was screwy for me to get used to. And then in New Mexico, what got me screwed up for a while, it took me 6 months to get used to, is the fact that a lot of the roads are not very well lit, like at all. The roads are dark. You're not so much when you're in the city of Albuquerque on the main roads, but then once you go off to the side there, you sit there and you're like, Jesus Christ, you couldn't spring for a couple of more lights? Everything's always so friggin' dark. Oh, I've got to head to bed. Keep what you're doing. We love following all your work. Thank you, darling. I love you too. And thank you so much for following. And if anything, the stream will be up and whatever. And if all goes well, I'll put it up on YouTube also, so you can, watch it later. But you get to bed and get some rest. I'm getting tired of looking at flesh color right now. I got to be honest with you. So I might have to switch over to another model for a little bit. And I know there's still some spots in the legs and stuff that I have to get to. But that's fine, because then I can just let that first coat dry. This is probably definitely going to take, that one's definitely going to take more than one session. That's fine, though. I have to use flesh on that part anyway. So I'm going to do that. I'm just looking and double checking myself before I get to that part. I can use a little tiny bit of blue and probably go down a little bit more before. Try not to spill too much. There we go. All right. Where's my handy dandy Red Bull? I'm going to crack up in some Red Bull. Get some wings. Ugh. I'm going to go down a little further there, because it looks like that's part of the fur too. And also so that when I do the flesh and kind of put it together at this part, it'll look like it all looks more like it's come together, so it'll look better. So is anyone on here planning on going to GenCon? It's GenCon 50. This is the big one. This is the big kahuna. And it's pretty much going to be a sold out event, so that's going to be crazy. But we've made sure to be prepared for that, for classes and stuff. So for those of you who will be taking classes at GenCon, know that as long as we have room in the classes, we have no problem trying to fit you in, because we do have extra material, at least for the Metalhead Minis classes. I can't speak for everybody else's classes, in all honesty, so I'm not even going to try and do none of that, but for our classes specifically, we did make sure to bring extra of everything. And that's what we do every year anyway, actually. So every year we always go through and we're like, hey, as long as there's room, we have no problem with fitting you in. But we just make sure that everybody who has tickets and did pay, we just like to make sure that everybody has, their seats first, obviously. And then once everybody who paid got their seats, then you're welcome to have one. And for those of you who will be taking Brandon's classes, he put together for his magnetizing and conversion classes, he's the one who wrote the whole handout and everything. He put everything together, did all the organizing for it and everything for that class. He did a really great job on it. I'm really excited for you guys that's taking that class. Everybody who takes the class, each is going to get like a little set of magnets to start out with for when they get home and stuff. Like, that's just super exciting. And he's excited about, teaching yous for sure. He's into stuff like that, like everything that he's teaching, basing and magnetizing and conversion and cleanup and preparation, stuff like that. He's into teaching stuff like that. He's into doing stuff like that. He loves building and fixing and stuff like that. So he is truly a good person to learn from when it comes to those things. Alright, so I did flesh on, or I'm doing rather, flesh on the hands and the arms. The original artwork has them in like beige and white. But so far, every character, every model I've done, I've looked at the artwork to compare, and I've just been like, okay, what can I do to make this look way out? I'm just going to do that. Yeah, that looks good. That sounds good. I'll just do that. And it's a good contrast color for this too, with the blue. Doing the beige, flesh color rather, but just in the grand scheme, looking at it as blue and beige, those go good together. My stomach just keeps going and going. I don't know what they're talking about out there in the other room. My sister's on Discord with some people. It sounds like they having just a weird old conversation. Making sure I didn't miss any spots right now. Because like in between the fingers, obviously you want to make sure you get those. Duh, of course. Sweet. Now if I get some on the fur, like I did just now, no biggie, because I have a little blue left and I can always go back in and fix. So that's always good. Yay! I dropped a model. But since it is a Cthulhu Wars model, as you can see, it is made out of a durable plastic because I dropped it and it did not break. Yay! And as you can see also, the Stynylrez Primer stayed on pretty good too. And thanks to this, I just saw that I missed a spot inside the fur there. See, that's why I tell you guys when you do fur, you should always hold it at different angles to see if you miss spots. But I didn't really hold it upside down, so that was my fault. So there we go. Yay! Okay. Oh, gotta go back in and fix that blue a little bit. There we be. Doing the second coat in the mouth real quick here. Ah, see? And that part there, that second coat made all the difference. Now I'm just double checking the top part because I know that that part needs a little more brown, so I'm going to fix that real quick. There we go. Fix that. Alright, I'm double checking the flesh pot there. Let me mix that better. This is one of my brushes I use to beat up, so. Tim Martin is alive now. Tim is supposed to be on here with me. What I did was I just took a wet brush and cleaned it, and I'm using it to clean off the fact that I went over on some paint there in that spot. Oh, for the Womp brush. You check out this site here. That has the Womp brush, and it also has a form. Actually, this would probably be better. I think this is how it goes. That's a store where you get this brush here. It's a large, maybe if I put it this way so you can read it, that might be helpful. Womp large base coat brush. Like if I had to guess in way of sizes, you know how like a lot of us typically use like 2s and 1s and stuff like that. Like I would probably say this is probably like anywhere between a 6 to an 8, I guess. But I love this brush, especially for projects where you're just trying to quickly paint something up. This brush is like amazing. I absolutely love it. It's seriously, when it comes to quicker tabletop painting, is one of my favorite brushes. And also I have used it for a display project also. This has been really good with I painted a vehicle, a GW vehicle, some with it too, and it was great for that. And I used it on a monster also, and it still keeps its point. I've had this brush since after the Kickstarter, so God, I want to say the Kickstarter now was about maybe over 2 years ago now, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, something like that. It was a while back. That's for sure. All right, so for the horns, I'm thinking I might go with Reaper Skeleton Bone. I think I'll try that. I'm just gonna put some here on this part. And I'm gonna get some water to thin it out, like that. I'm trying to carefully put this on because I don't want it to pool everywhere, because I, thinned it down some. Yeah, that went a little better. Clean brush again, because the paint pooled underneath some. So obviously that's not what I wanted to do. Now, of course, I can always go back in with the blue also, but I'm trying to save time where I can, and so that's why here we are. I'm doing the blue to fill that in there, because I just noticed that's not as filled in as it could be. There we go. can also use the skeleton bone for the teeth. Such a screwy looking monster. I don't even know what it's supposed to be. Does this thing even have eyes? Or is it like the cousin it of monsters? Like you can't see the eyes because it's all covered by hair. Someone's about to growl at me again. I better tell the other half to make me a sandwich. Actually, I don't even want a sandwich. There's still a little bit of mold lines on them. And I prepped it and I got most of them off, but some of them I just left alone because I didn't want to ruin the detail on the figure either, you know? Because especially if it's just a game piece that you're just trying to play and have fun with, you know, sometimes people care about, I mean, I have OCD, so I do care, but at the same time, I still have to keep the integrity of the model because there's some mold lines that if I sat there, it was either going to take me way too long to go through and do all that while getting ready for GenCon, sitting there trying to dig through each little tiny piece of the mold line. Or I was also going to, in the process also, I could end up taking the detail out on the horn. And that was not something I was looking to do. Cleaning off the brush to clean off where the paint pulled up. The paint pulled up. I'm mixing in the little corners as I go along on that flesh color. I'm making sure that it's fully coated before I apply all the washes in all the areas. See, when I was quickly painting, I wanted to make sure to at least have everything base coated first. So that way, when it comes time, you just sit there and you do the washes. And then you just dry brush on the highlights. And then you're good to go. And then it's like, bam, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to rock. Okay, just double checking and looking. Can use a little more flush right there. And the T's. Sweet. Now what I'm doing is just going over a little part of Gug. Because we're going to get ready to add on the yellow on him. Alright, let's see if I can do under there real quick to neaten that up. That looks better. Under there. There. And put him aside for a minute. Now we are on Gug. And I'm looking here. That skeleton bone. I'm seeing if that's going to look good for the teeth or not. If I want to go with more of a, no, that'll work. I just saw another spot. That's why I say when it comes to fur, you want to look at it from different angles. Make sure you got everything. Cool. There you go. That way I'm got to stay in practice of doing stuff like that, just so that you guys know what it is that I'm working on and what I'm doing and where you get stuff, because people always ask. See that? My stomach's growling at me again. It's funny because earlier, my friend was sitting there saying about the other monster, the one with the tentacles in the face and the wings, and I did the flesh tone that it looked like a bunch of penises, saying it looked dick-tastic. And this one, I look at this this monster and I'm like, face looks like a big vagina. It's too funny. Hey, you gotta laugh about stuff, you know. We live in a world where everything's too serious. You gotta laugh about stuff. I'm trying to think if I want to do the claws. Yeah, maybe I'll do the claws with the skeletal bone color too. I gotta thin this paint down a little bit. When it starts coming on chalky or choppy like that, which can happen in certain spots of paint depending on what kind of palette you're using and stuff. You just thin it down a little bit. Then you should be all good. Okay. Now the paint's pulling in some certain areas, which I can easily clean off. But if not, I can always go back in with the brown too, because we still got some brown left. That's still good. And I just, just gotta thin the brown down because it's been sitting for a while. And then I can just go back in and fix it. So, no biggie. Alright, now I'm just moving this so that I could see the other side of the tooth. Again, like I said, these Cthulhu Wars minis, they come already assembled and already on the base. It's not like with some brands and models, and it depends on your preference, of course, but some people like to go through and do the pieces first and then put it all together. But with these ones, you gotta just paint and play and that's pretty much the objective of them, is just to make them easy to deal with. Not having to worry about going through and having to assemble and pin and all this other stuff. Some people, they can't worry about stuff like that. They don't have the time, the patience, or whatever, and that's totally fine. Okay. Checking the other side. Oh, see here from when I thinned down that brown that it pooled into the flesh color. Not a big deal, you just paint over it. And what I'll do is I'll just go all around so that way it's even. It ties in better. There we go. That's not so bad. Oh, sorry, I didn't move it down. I didn't realize that the whole time I was doing that, you didn't really see what was going on. Forgive me. Still getting used to painting within a certain allotted space. All right. Now what I'm doing is I'm carefully going in and, fixing before I apply washes and stuff. There. And then once, everything's applied, it'll all tie in. Now to do that yellow like I promised you I would. Just gonna put a little bit, maybe do 2 drops. Now, like I said, I'm gonna do probably the tummy. I'll do the tummy. Usually the tummies are the ones that are light in color. Since it's fur, I sat there and I did the circle just to give like a guideline. But when it comes to fur, it's not supposed to be perfect. So you don't want, in other words, I'm doing the tummy area, but that doesn't mean to make it a perfect circle. You're not supposed to do that. That's if you want to make it, look real. Now, if it's cartoony, that's probably different. But if you want it to look more natural, then you don't want it to be a perfect circle. I'm looking at the screen right now because I'm trying to figure out why it's go and pause and go and pause. Hope the storm's not coming. Because that would suck. Alright, so we got that and the tummy. Don't have too much longer to go, so. Because if anything, I think we're going to finish the Gug and the Gnopf. We can finish those tonight because it'll be quick. But the other one we're going to come back to. And probably in a couple of days, we'll probably just do a stream with just that one. That's probably what we'll do. So I'm looking at the tummy. It's still not fully smooth. So I'm just going to go over again. I mean, with fur, it's not supposed to be fully smooth anyway. What I mean is that it's not as fully covered as I would like for it to be. That looks better. That I think looks better. That I think will work. So now, for the inside of the mouth, I'm going to use the GW shade Carenberg Crimson. Carenberg Crimson, I'm not exactly sure exactly how you say it, to be honest. But and this one, the top broke. That was my fault. So I gotta kind of gently pour it in. Alright, so I put the Carenberg Crimson in there, giving it that gnarly evil look to it, which was on purpose. Oh, I'm trying to check the frame rate here. It keeps jumping, kind of. Which could be to start, but I'm not sure. Alright, so did that. I'm gonna put the Carenberg Crimson in the mouth here too. And I'm gonna put it inside the nose, the nostrils too. At least it looks like a nose. I hope those aren't. No, I don't think those are eyes. There we go. Okay, it looks like an actual mouth. Yes, ma'am. Fixing the flesh on the legs. It's one thing when you're painting minis, you constantly sit there and turn it to another angle, and you're like, up, yeah, forgot that. Or up, that can look better. But one important thing is you always want to make sure you have fun, because if you're not having fun, then what's the point? Now I'm trying to decide if it's enough Carenberg Crimson. Caroberg. Who cares at this point? They say it. There we go. There. So that wash is applied. And I'm kind of waiting for that yellow to go dry a little more, I think. Or it might be okay like that. Let me double check. Okay, yeah, actually it is okay. Yay! Okay. So I think I'm gonna wash the body, the whole body, and the teeth with Agrax Earthshade. It's from Citadel Games Workshop. It's like one of those shades, the washes, whatever, that you'll put on friggin' everything because it's that awesome. It's a beautiful, rich brown color. And you can use it for so much. And see when I put it over the neutral yellow. Now I'm sitting here and I'm doing the hands first before I add on, painting the claws. Because like I was saying, I wanted to do that light color on the claws. But I figured, because I was afraid that I would mess it up, that's why I didn't put it just yet. Figured I'd wait until the end to do the claws. And also so that the Agrax